So I haven't played ranked in quite some time, and I really wanted to play some super aggressive battleships, and it went really well actually today. So I'm going to show you some of the best games and the best parts, and try and talk you through some of the thought process that went into some of these really amazing games. First off, of course, we got to play the Kremlin, since this is one of the best aggressive battleships in the game, just because it doesn't die. And sometimes the guns do that, where you do an insane amount of damage to an angled Moskva. This is a really good position to be in. If you're playing land fire, it's really important to prevent the radar cruisers from getting to this main central island between A and B. It's a great launching point to attack the enemy's cap, and it seems like a lot of teams are playing very, very aggressive for those 3-4 lines, and they don't really tend to play for the middle of the map like I am right here. And I've had a lot of success catching broadsides. Of course, we do have to watch for some potential shots or torps coming in from the sea cap, but we managed to do all right. And because we're a Kremlin, we can just sit here and tank all this damage. We're doing a lot of spotting for our teammates, and soaking up all this enemy fire means that my teammates aren't taking a bunch of damage either. So this is a really, really strong play to make if you have a tanky battleship and the matchmaker allows it. Of course, notice that there's no carrier, right? That might be a bit of a theme here, that aggressive battleship play works when there's not a carrier in the game. The Schlieffen is broadside to us, so of course we should be hitting him pretty hard, and we're going to try and take him out. And at this point, just look at all the map control that we've gained. The enemy team doesn't even have their home cap capped yet. They sent their DD over to the sea cap, and we have a Petro that's pushed in very aggressively there, so the enemy team's not getting that cap anytime soon either. These aggressive plays, taking the fight to the enemy, really had me enjoying World of Warships a lot. I really, really did have fun today playing the game. Not every game went well, that's for sure, so there were some definitely frustrating moments. It is World of Warships after all. But overall, I felt really happy to be able to play my battleships in such an aggressive way and for it to actually work out. And we're just all out pushing, right? As soon as we deal with the Schlieffen, we're going to push in and try and take out this Preußen. We're still on so much HP that it's totally fine to be playing this way. In the middle of the map, trying to control engagements. Battleships sometimes struggle to have a lot of battle impact, and I think that that's primarily because they tend to play at the back, and they don't have any way of dealing with destroyers or contesting cap zones very well, outside of just being tanky. And pushes like that aren't always going to work. But in the right situations, if you time it correctly and craft those really, really good moments where you can actually successfully push in, it goes really, really well. And this one we only got up to 100k, but it was a really good example of just hyper aggression in the right spot, just flat out winning a game early on. Of course, I'm going to try to play to different ship strengths. So Kremlin, really good tank. It's tough to kill when that thing is angled. Even when it's not very well angled, it's tough to kill. Bourgogne's a little bit squishier, but it's fast, and it has a really, really fast reload combined with this reload booster. So of course, we're going to go to the flank and try and push very aggressively to get the best cross shots that we can. So this Preußen on the enemy team, he's just done, right? I'm on his broadside. We have a friendly battleship pushing into A, which, you know, might not be the most sustainable, but for now, it's definitely getting this Preußen killed. And at this point, we've basically stalled out the Petro on the enemy team from pushing. He can't push past this rock. And the Napoli might try and push in to help, but I'm not done here. I'm going to try and take the fight as fast as I can to these guys. Popping my speed boost might even be able to actually surprise this Napoli. That's the thing about Bourgogne. It's really, really good at quick repositions. Unfortunately, no citadels, a bunch of overpens on that salvo, but we still do a pretty solid chunk of damage. And we're also putting this Petro in a very uncomfortable spot. If he continues to back out, he's dead. He's just dead. I'm going to kill him. So he has to go forward here. And I'm not going to shoot this Napoli here because I know that the pressure that I'm applying to this Petro relies on me being loaded here. So we're going to wait. There's no rush to kill the Napoli at this point. I'll show you where you need to be shooting at him a little bit later, but we're waiting. And after we don't see the Petro for a little while, we can conclude that he's probably accelerated, and now we can actually deal with this Napoli. So we need to aim for the upper bow. And just like that, it's a 12k salvo. It's really important that you don't hit the lower bow, since there's an icebreaker there, and any further back on the ship, you're going to hit his belt armor, right? The upper belt is more than enough to bounce our shells, so we need to aim for that upper bow section. And even though the Napoli probably launched some torps at us, he's going for the other side. He's low enough at this point, our reload's good enough that we're going to take him out. And this Petro is forced forward, and that's just right into the arms of my entire team, basically. So he goes down, and now we have this extremely fast flank to deal with the enemy team on A. They've finally pushed in, but it's a little bit too late. Their other side that I'm on has fallen already, and even though it's long range, sometimes these battleship salvos hurt. And the Ohio manages to finish him off. And then we're going to try and take this Schlieffen out and cap this other point, the home cap for the enemy team. It's really fun playing like this, I gotta say, and it doesn't happen in random battles, I think primarily because there's just more people in the games, and this kind of late game scenario where you're able to flank when the map really opens up, there's enough room to actually play this way. Doesn't tend to happen in random battles until that last 5 minutes of a match, and most games are decided by that point, since, I mean, we're getting a lot of blowouts these days, right? So ranked has been a lot of fun for me today, surprisingly so. I've typically been of the opinion that ranked is just very frustrating and just a test of patience. But this time it's been a little bit different. It's possible I got a little bit lucky with the matchmaker giving me some of these really fun matches, but I certainly enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to be playing a lot more of my battleships in ranked modes. I'll have to play some cruisers and destroyers as well. You'll definitely see that on the channel. But I had a lot of fun in battleships, and it hasn't felt like I've had such a good time overall in battleships recently because I haven't been able to push in random battles. So I really, really wanted to share that. And we're already up to, what, nearly 200k in a ranked game? Just crazy. Bourgogne is a ton of fun, and even though I'm not tanking aggressively like the Kremlin, we're pushing a flank extremely hard, and that's what a Bourgogne is going to do to just win games. As you can see, I am in Bronze League because, like I said, I haven't been playing ranked at all. But we'll eventually get our way up into Silver and Gold. I don't really think there's too much difference between the leagues, to be honest. It's just ranked. It's just ranked with random ranked players, right? We're playing the Kremlin again, a similar map as before, just pushing the C cap this time. We're going to get an absolutely disgusting salvo on this Minotaur. I don't usually dev strike people at this angle, but we actually nearly did. I'm very lucky to get 2 citadels there. Unfortunately, I think the Minotaur is able to get away before we're able to get around this corner. But the Des Moines pushing around flat broadside, huh? Unfortunately, he goes dark. I was so disappointed. So disappointed right now. But he does end up shooting, so he's spotted again. We'll take our shot. He's actually slowed down quite a lot, so we're not leading him too much. Unfortunately, though, yeah, not a dev strike, but still good damage. And I'm going to push very aggressively now because I know that I can run this Des Moines down, and the Minotaur really isn't a big deal at this point. Since bow on AP, it's not going to do a whole lot. All we have to do is make sure we stay angled enough for the torpedoes. And our overmatch should take care of the rest with the Des Moines. I just looked back to check on what our Smolensk is doing, and he's doing the right thing, which is to smoke up, use me as the spotting, and then just farm these guys out. So we're going to hopefully take this Des Moines out, as well as their Minotaur, and this is going to absolutely crush the entire flank of the enemy team. I'm not sure why on this Land of Fire map, everybody seems to go for the 2 home caps. Nobody seems to go after C. I hadn't played too much, right? So keep in mind, it's a small sample size, but a lot of times it really did feel like games were just constantly teams just sending everyone to the 2 home caps and meeting on the 3-4 lines and just kind of bow out or bow in fighting each other. So that's why I tended to try to go towards C a little bit more and make these flanks work. We're almost killing the Des Moines. I'm really hopeful that our Smolensk is going to be able to finish him off. But it actually looks like he's just getting outside of the Smolensk's range on 127 HP. Absolutely crazy, and I'm actually not going to load my guns in time to get him around this island. I do try. I send that salvo out, hoping my rear turrets are going to do something, but we don't actually get him. Now I got to turn out, though. This is a bit of an odd play, turning out in front of a battleship. But the worry here is that if I play on this island, the Minotaur is just going to torp me. So I have to turn away at this point to try and avoid these torps. I'm kind of looking towards where this Minotaur might reverse out, but I decide reversing out Minotaur is probably not going to happen. There's no way that would be a smart play. And that's what he does. So my guns actually aren't turned in time. We know he's going to be torping us, and we need to get angled in time to hopefully deal with the torps and not take a huge hit from the armor piercing of the Minotaur or the Mecklenburg. The Mecklenburg tends to have pretty weak AP, so especially given that he was using HE earlier, I thought it would be okay to take the risk to turn out, and it turns out it was. So we dodged the torps from the Minotaur, and unfortunately our Grozovoy is getting pushed by that Minotaur now. So I'm going to try and take a decent salvo into this Mecklenburg, who somehow gets like 15k on the start of my ship. Not sure how that's possible, but Kremlin's got enough HP to deal with it, and we're going to take the Minotaur out. Like I said, hyper-aggressive plays that seem to be working to win some of these ranked battles. It's a ton of fun playing this aggressive. It seems like there's just a lot more action and a lot more going on. This is where I have a lot of fun with this game. We did spot out the Shimakaze earlier, so I know I need to stay angled for torpedoes, not getting greedy to get my front guns off, especially on this low HP. 1 or 2 torps is more than enough to take me out at this point. So we're going to heal, and we're going to just try and angle tank this Mecklenburg, while our teammates hopefully are able to take him out. Our Smolensk certainly has been doing a lot of farming. Notice how often these guys are all on fire on the enemy team. It's actually our fire that burns them out, but we do manage to live on low HP, and I'm just going to go hide for a little bit. It's important that I live and hopefully make use of these remaining 2 heals. But our team isn't doing so hot, so I do decide to push out a little bit more aggressively, trying to take out this Des Moines. It's long-range Kremlin, though, so we can't really expect too much. The main thing I'm trying to do here is to help our Smolensk get into the enemy's home cap, and then try and defend our home cap from the enemy Yamato. That's really the goal here. I think that we probably need at least 1 cap, maybe 2 more caps to win this game, just because the enemy team is going to be on 2 caps here for a little while. And we do end up losing our curve first, so that definitely puts us at a bit more of a disadvantage. Unfortunately for me, this Des Moines played really well, just staying out of line of fire, and I couldn't quite get that finishing salvo off. So we're going to try and deal with this Yami. And unfortunately for me, I'm going to get pretty unlucky here. I think my aim is reasonably good here a lot of the time, and I don't know. I don't know where these shells are going. I'm trying to hit right under his front turrets. We splash those shells too low, I guess. I don't know. I was pretty frustrated at this, not going to lie. But overall, this game goes pretty well. And as this Yamato turns flat broads, surely he's dead, right? Right? Surely he's dead. No, actually not dead. Fortunately, the Smolensk will just finish him off there. But, man, what a frustrating experience that was. But now we need to use our brains, because there's a Shimakaze in open water against us, and we need to get into the home cap as soon as possible, since we're down on points here. So, a little bit of a tough situation. Still trying to finish that Des Moines off. He's living for far too long, I gotta say. But we're not quite able to do it. And I know the Shimakaze was last seen in front of me. We spot 1 set of torps, we spot 2 sets of torps, waiting for that 3rd set, which we now see actually took out the Jinan. So I'm okay to turn here. We know the Shimakaze is in the north. So I'm going to try and angle as best I can to where I think the Shimakaze is from. Remember, I can't afford to eat too many torpedoes here. So now it's just a waiting game to see where the torpedoes come from. I need to get into this cap. Well, the Smolensk is capping the enemy's home cap, and we are going to win on points if everything stays the same. But I go undetected for just a split second. So I know the Shimakaze had to be behind that little tiny island going to the sea cap. So I turn, I do take 2 torpedoes, but I do manage to live, and we are going to cap this point. Of course, we do see the Shimakaze going after the sea cap. I get a blind shot in, a little too late to reset, but that's going to be the game. I had a ton of fun playing this one, especially the end here. I'm speeding it up a ton here because it'd be boring if we looked at it for a long time, but I really enjoy those situations where I have to use my brain to figure out a situation and try and win a game, because it was by no means a victory here. If I died and then Shimakaze was able to just live, I think he probably would have won the game, even on that single cap. But we managed to clutch it out, and we won. Land of Fire was pretty common today. As you can see, we're playing the Ohio this time. A pretty solid tier 10 battleship, although I've been having a really rough time with this ship. Again, playing for middle. The enemy team, again, is pushing the 3-4 lines, so I'm trying to get these broadside shots in. We get a decent salvo onto this Napoli. Not too amazing. I'm really looking for those Citadel salvos, but I'm really trying to catch these broadsides. It's so valuable for winning these fights if you can deal a ton of damage to these ships as they're trying to push forward for this island. Broadside Schlieffen, he's going pretty slow, so we don't have to lead too much. And I think that this one would be a little bit more decent. But this is a really good position to be in. Although you shouldn't just go to one position because I say it's good. It's important to realize that this position is good because I have a lot of teammates at our home cap. We're creating a bit of a crossfire here. Our Yamato is starting to flank even more, and that's going to open up the angles even more for our team. So if my entire team went for C, this probably wouldn't be the best position. Then I would be trying to play the home cap angle and try and create crossfires. I don't want to just go to one side of the map because it worked. I want to look at what my teammates are doing and then play off of them and try and open up angles that hopefully are going to give both myself and my teammates better shots. As you can see, this Schlieffen is trying to push. Of course, that's what Schlieffens do. And we're in a perfect position to deal with him, right? Surely an Ohio is going to crush a Schlieffen here, right? Well, no, we're going to get 6,000 damage. I was pretty frustrated with this Ohio game, I'm not going to lie, but it turns out to be one of the better games that I played, even though I was very frustrated as we're going through this. Keep in mind, I do have my spotter plane up, and I think that there's a bit of an issue, or maybe I'm just not used to the new camera angle here, but this shot here, I thought I aimed reasonably well. The Schlieffen moving away from me, I thought I needed to aim a little bit high, and yet my shells go really, really high. So maybe that's a bit of a quirk of the new camera with this this interchangeable spotting plane, but I don't know. I just need to get used to it, I guess. The rest of my aim has been pretty good throughout this day, though, so I don't think the new camera is really changing things too much. I think there's just a little bit of RNG, and with that last salvo, I think it really did come down to not adjusting for the alternate camera angle that the spotter plane provides. Really nice salvo into the Montana, and we need to push. The enemy team has 2 caps, we're playing 2 passive, right, and the game is quickly getting out of control. I'm already up to 145k this game, which is a really solid rank game. Remember, this is like, what, 6v6? That's not a lot of ships, and we got a lot of damage already. So we're going to try and deal with this Monty and the Preussen, who is also pushing up on the enemy team. That's some pretty good dispersion. So obviously we're going to get a big hit, right? No, not with my Ohio. I think he must have angled just enough so that we're going to shatter on his broadside. Unfortunate, but now we're going to get our secondaries into things. Ohio, of course, has this amazing sustaining ability through its heal, right? This heal cooldown is what allows the Ohio to sustain a lot of damage. And our secondaries, well, not the best, are going to do some pretty decent damage at these longer ranges, since they're going to be coming in at a very steep angle, enough to hit the superstructure. At closer ranges against battleships, these don't have enough pen to actually go through the belt or the bow armor of a lot of battleships, so we want to use these secondaries more against longer range targets, and of course against DDs. The Grozavoy is seen pushing up, so we have to be wary that we might get YOLO'd by a DD here coming up, depending on how quickly we push in. But we have to push. 832 points. This game is quickly getting out of control. Unfortunately, I go a little bit too far forward to actually get a good salvo in on this Monty, and he manages to go dark. So we're going to try and deal with this Preussen while I turn to go deal with the Montana. Notice our gearing also coming behind us, going from left to right. So I want the gearing to be able to help me just in case this Grozavoy pushes out to YOLO me. That's part of the reason I'm coming around this island. The other reason is if the Grozavoy pushes out to the left here now, he's going to have to push out extremely far just to lead the torpedoes enough to hit me. So I'm not really worried about the torpedo threat right now, but that's why I'm also holding my salvo here. I'm not trying to shoot the Preussen because I know it's much more valuable to shoot at the DD. We're going to use the hot swap or the expert loader ability that the American commanders have, the special one. And we swapped to the HE in what, like 7 seconds? It's pretty good close range against DDs. That's going to put us up over 200k in ranked battles. And we get another kill with our secondaries. But this game is not over yet. The enemy team is still in the lead. And unfortunately, after turning and pushing back in, we left 2 of their ships on extremely low HP, and they won the game. So I didn't win everything, and some of them were a bit of blowouts where there was just nothing I could have done. But this one, I think if I had done a little better on focus fire throughout the game, I could have maybe won this one. But a close loss is always more fun than a blowout. So even a blowout win, I would way rather lose those close games. I didn't just play tanky ships though. Of course, Republic is an excellent flanking ship, and it's a lot of fun to play just because of the reload. So we're going to deal with this Des Moines, hopefully, as he's pushing in. People are pretty aggressive right now, at least in Bronze League. We'll see as I get into the higher leagues if people stay this aggressive, but yeah, this Des Moines plays just a little bit too far up. And Republic, of course, is just so good at dealing with cruisers, especially cruisers with 30 millimeters of armor. We overmatch him everywhere, and our reload is so quick that he actually can't turn away. Against 30-second reload battleships, it's possible for a cruiser to get a full turn out. We're also getting a little lucky there, I'll admit. But it's possible for a cruiser to fully turn away from being bow in that 30-second reload, most of them. But against a Republic, that's really not possible because of this reload. And he over angles just a little bit, and yeah, he's he's not long for this world, let's just say that. That Yu Yang has some torps in for him, and we absolutely crush this guy. So I went out onto that flank and tried to secure the A-cap with our team. And at this point, way later on into the game, I'm cutting out a lot of the boring parts here. This is where the clutch comes in. We gotta try and defend this B-cap because we're actually going to lose a couple of our ships. Our Stalin's really low, and so is our Hayate, and we're going to lose both of them here. So I need to stall out the enemy team and trade these enemies, or our friendly ships, as much as I can. The Z-52 pushes in. My momentum's going to carry me around this island, unfortunately, but back turret, I am able to just help a little bit with that DD engagement, and hopefully our Yu Yang is going to win that one. As you can see, our Stalingrad goes down, our Hayate goes down, but at least our Yu Yang is going to be able to kill that Z-52. So now we have to deal with a, quarter HP Schlieffen pushing in at us. If we get in secondary range, that could definitely hurt. And this very healthy Yu Yang. Fortunately for us, the enemy Yu Yang smokes up when he could have just, I don't know, not smoked up and killed our Yu Yang, so he manages to escape. But our Minotaur is going to go challenge a Petro, which doesn't go particularly well. And I'm going to make a big error here. And I think it was probably a decent decision, but I'm going to swap to the HE. No improved expert loader, just the normal one, so a 10-second swap to HE. And then, of course, the Schlieffen gets spotted, shooting at our broadside Minotaur. I should have known. I should have known he would have shot at our Minotaur. He kills him, and I only had an HE salvo in return, which we just shattered one. So a bit of a mistake there. But the HE was really so that I could help on this DD engagement here. The Yu Yang, I don't know why, pushes out just slightly and then reverses back in. So we're going to take a bit of a blind shot at him. Really important that we try and even out this HP difference here between our Yu Yang and the enemy Yu Yang. Because if they can at least trade, then I think I can win this game. But I'm worried that our Yu Yang will go down in a 1v1 engagement if that happens, and then I'll be left alone versus a DD, which I really can't win that fight. I at least know I can win against a battleship and a very, very low HP Petro. But against that DD, it's a little bit rough. So we know that this Schlieffen is probably going to be pushing through this gap. So I tell the Yu Yang to get back because I just don't want him to get spotted and killed. And there's the Schlieffen. I finally actually had the right ammo type loaded for a broadside Schlieffen. And yeah, that horizontal dispersion, the vertical dispersion on Republic is just amazing. So we're able to take him out. Republic against broadsides is just so nice. It's not the same story against bow-in ships. But now we're just going to sit here and wait. The Petro's low. We know he could be pushing out from this little island gap in front of us. And the Yu Yang could be pushing in from behind us. So what I do is I try and keep my rear gun pointed towards where I think the enemy Yu Yang is going to come from, and the front gun, well, forwards towards where I think the Petro is coming from. I do this by constantly moving my camera back and forth in front of my ship to keep my rear gun kind of wiggling back and forth towards that Yu Yang. And it pays off because my gun is completely ready for that Yu Yang to get spotted there. And at this point, I just go and chase the kill. I get a little greedy to finish this game off with 3 kills. And a pretty solid clutch there, I gotta say. That one was a little bit tense at the end, but a really, really fun game. I really enjoyed playing Battleships today. Not all of them went this well. Played a lot of games today, relative to how many I normally play in a day. And they didn't all go this well. There were definitely some tilting ones, don't worry. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows in my world of playing this game, but I had a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed watching some of these clips. It did come out to be a bit of a long video though, so I really appreciate you guys sticking with me through it. I tried to keep it the entertaining bits from today's brawling games, but the captains, if you're wondering, look a little bit like this. They're pretty standard, I gotta say. With the Kremlin, we're just trying to tank, so no fancy secondaries here. On the Ohio, I am kind of going with a bit of secondaries, but again, we're trying to tank a little bit. I'm giving up concealment because if I'm playing aggressive, I'm not going to be using concealment anyway, so that's kind of where I sacrifice a little bit of the ship's general ability just to get those secondaries online. As far as the Republique and the Bourgogne commander, which I just swapped between them, I am kind of using a bit of secondaries. It's pretty greedy, but the thing is, I know I'm playing a little bit aggressive, and these secondaries have a lot of range, and they have really good fire chance. I know that their dispersion is not amazing, but I was getting a lot of fires and some decent damage, especially in the Bourgogne out of these. That's kind of the main thing here, is that these secondaries are basically the only French secondaries that are 127 millimeters, so they're enough to pen superstructures. And that's important because if your secondaries are only lighting fires, looking at you, Colombo, they're pretty useless because then you're just relying completely on RNG for fires. And that tends not to go very well. As far as the upgrades on the equipment side, I'm mostly going for reload, concealment, maneuverability upgrades, and main guns. Aiming systems mod 1. I'm trying to get the best accuracy I can, even with some of these secondary builds. It's more of a hybrid build in that way, I guess. But I'm trying to tank as much as possible, have decent concealment, and have good enough maneuverability to dodge salvos at mid-range or so. And dodging torps. As you saw, we dodged a lot of torpedoes in this video, simply because the maneuverability skills help a lot, even on ships where I don't necessarily have a hydro or somebody scouting the torps for me. But thank you for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It's a little bit different, but I really wanted to show you some of the fun experiences I had today pushing and brawling in battleships. Who knew? World of Warships 2022. It's actually possible. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.